Whoa, gnarly dude, we are making these rock plates using plates that we bought at the Dollar Tree and fabric we bought at Joann Fabrics. The fabric is running out quickly though. We found material in the clearance, last chance, and licensed sections. Welcome friends, it's Gail and my sister Ann just joined me today. She has never done this before and she doesn't do crafts often. Let's see what happens. The first thing we'll do is establish a line where the trimming and material will meet together. To measure out the plates, we're looking to create one part of material on 1/3 of it and another material on the other 2/3. It's not going to be exactly like this, so I thought the easiest way to do this would be to use a cutting board that's at least 10 inches big or a T-square. And I'm just lining it up on the X and Y axis origin lines. So I'm just checking my edges, looking directly down. Make sure it's as evenly spaced as possible. And then I'm looking at the 4-inch mark. Since we have this material that we're placing in the middle, we have a chance to move this over, so they're going to be off slightly anyway, unless I line this up in the middle of that line, which is another possibility. I'm just going to start from this line. I'm using a permanent marker. This way it won't come off on the material. To get the permanent marker off the front of the plate, you can use a dry erase marker. If you don't have a dry erase marker, you can use rubbing alcohol or fingernail polish with acetone. I'm figuring out where to cut this material. I'm going to be using this part and I want to show 2 layers of this. So I think I'm going to cut it right along this line. I don't care if it's perfect, but I'm going to do at least a halfway decent job. I hope. We'll find out. So I'm just going to start here and roll this up. Ooh, that cut through really well. Awesome. See, I told you it wasn't going to be pretty. Okay, almost got it. And if it's a little on the messy side, it's going to be covered up by this ribbon. We're going to put this ribbon in the center, so we'll be okay there. And I think I can go up here to use most of the material. And I'm going to line it up on this line, and I'm going to use my marker and go wider out here because I know it's going to take more material since we're working with a 3D form here. And I'm just going to come out like this, an inch and a half out, and cut along this line so I can add it to the back. This material will be for the larger portion on the plate. Now let's move on to another piece of material that will be on the smaller side. I'm tracing around it again about 1 1/2 inches out to the side and cutting it out with scissors. Wow, this is quick and easy. We will be using the reverse decoupage technique, which means that our material will go upside down on the back of the plate. So when we turn it over, it will be upright. Before we add our material, we want to add our trimming first. Also, when I say ribbon, I'm talking about the trimming. I'm stretching the trimming from the top to the bottom of the orange line and cutting it a little bit longer. At this point, it would be a great idea to take a couple of the metal pieces out at the top and the bottom. They come out easily before you attach them to the plate, as we'll find out soon. So we would recommend doing this first. Also, we're cleaning the back of our plate with rubbing alcohol to make sure there's no grease and fingerprints before we begin. I am making sure my plate's upside down, turning my trimming upside down, and now I'm taking Dishwasher Safe Mod Podge and I'm heavily coating the plate along that line. Then I add the trimming on top. Now, to have more control over how the trimming matches up on the permanent marker line, you can turn the plate over, use tiny little clamps that we got at the Dollar Tree, line it up on each side, and then turn the plate back over. Here it's a good idea to allow the trimming to dry for a good 20 to 30 minutes so that the trimming adheres to the plate and doesn't move when you're adding on the material. Awesome.
Take it away, Ange.
And just applying Mod Podge to the 2/3 side of the plate where we'll add the most dominant material. That's going face down so that the faces and the colors and everything show on the front side of the plate. So we're doing it in reverse. Great job lining it up. Just kind of line it up in the middle based off of the grommets. Is it grommets? I don't know what they are. Studs or grommets. Okay. And at this point, again, you can let it dry for a good 10 to 15 minutes so that way the material doesn't move around on you. Then add the Mod Podge to the back. but you can go on ahead and add it on the back now. Just be aware that things can move and you want to check it. For best results, let it dry for 5 to 10 minutes. That we do things our way. Yeah, even if you start with the edges and kind of work your way in, just a little at a time, and if it starts to move too much, stop, right? So you do want to make sure the whole plate's covered with Mod Podge and there's no holes. Otherwise, that can create a gap that you may not like later on, and you want everything to kind of be consistent and have the same color. Material with Mod Podge on it dries darker.
Whoa, the student is the teacher.
We have material that looks good either upside down or right side up on this piece, whereas this piece over here, everything is one directional. So if you had two pieces of material that had one directional, make sure you line up your directions facing the same way, so one side's not upside down from the other. But since we are using one that has faces that go both this way and words that go this can be read this way, as well as if I turn it this way, they both can be seen this way. This face is this face. We don't have to worry about it. So then you put your Mod Podge down again, and again, line up your fabric over the back. It doesn't really matter how far you come up over the back as long as that raw hem is not seen on the other side. And place your material again over the top.
The most important part at this point before really sticking it down is seeing if we like the way it lines up on the front. That's darn awesome. Fantastic. So now that we're pressing down the material and getting all the air bubbles out and making sure it's sticking down well, once it starts to grab on a little bit, then we'll add another piece of trimming so that the plate balances out and is level when it's sitting on the countertop. We want to make sure that the material is flush with the trimming on the plate. We're just going over it a couple of times. And we want to balance it out. So where we have this thickness over here, we'll take another piece of the same trimming and place it on the very base of the plate. So it will be a lot smaller than the first piece. Let's go from here to here, just the inside of the plate right here. And we're just going to glue it on like this with Mod Podge. Since the trim is heavier than the material, we'll put a heavy coat of Mod Podge where we want to apply the trim. Then we'll lay down the trim, let it dry for a good 10 to 15 minutes, make sure it's not going anywhere, and then we're ready to add on that backing. Just kidding. No, seriously. I forgot that it's easier to trim the material around the plate prior to adding on the backing, so that way you're not cutting through several layers of material. We are trimming the edges with scissors. We'll go around once, and then we'll go around the second time, this time angling inward a little bit more, and continue to cut off those jagged edges. The backing we're using is from Hobby Lobby. They're bandanas that have fire on them. If you'd rather limit your supplies to 2 stores, the Dollar Tree and Dram Fabrics, Dram Fabrics also carries a material that has fire on it, which we used on our Leppard plate. Now that we have applied another coat of dishwasher safe Mod Podge on the back of the plate, we are laying and centering out our bandana over it, smoothing it down, and applying another coat of Mod Podge to the back. Here, you might want to add 2 coats. It will make it stronger. Even though we're using dishwasher safe Mod Podge, we highly recommend washing them by hand. The material may not stick as well because we have the trimming added on, plus we have the metal there and it might get extra hot. You can use regular Mod Podge if you don't intend on washing them. When using dishwasher safe Mod Podge, allow the plates to dry 28 days before immersing them in water. Even using regular Mod Podge, we need to allow 12 to 13 days for it to cure. Alrighty, the Mod Podge is done. We'll let these dry thoroughly, and then we'll trim them down once more, and they're ready to go.
Smashing! Back to you, Ange.
I am not crafty in any way. So when I did this, I was looking at not finishing the back and just leaving it because I didn't care. But we did go ahead and finish the back, and we did that by adding some flamed material on the back from a handkerchief we had, and I absolutely love it now. And I'm very happy that we did go ahead and finish the back. So this will dry clear, and then we'll trim this up and we'll be done. And the end by Angie Benley.